بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. So last week what we spoke about was regarding the Mahdi. And we mentioned that the ahadith which come on the grading of what is known as Sahih, they are very few, but there are many narrations which make no mention of the Mahdi, but they do make mention of Rajul. There will be a man at the end of times. There will be an Imam of the believers. So the Mahdi is something that is going to definitely come. But many a time how people understand it's going to happen, that's where the fault takes place. And what you're waiting for and something that you're not expecting happens, then you normally slip in that. If the world is going to think that when the Mahdi comes there will be no exam, there will be no difficulty, everyone will recognize him, everyone will run to him, it's not going to be like that. With regards to the ahadith of the Mahdi which have been recorded as, in the terminology of muhaddithin, it's known as da'if, then there are many. So one is the one we will discuss today. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is reported to have said that يَكُونُ إِخْتِلَافٌ عِنْدَ مَوْتِ khalifa. A khalifa, and here khalifa they explain will mean, because other ahadith have mentioned that, or the indication was in other ahadith that the Mahdi will re-establish the khilafah. There will not be a khilafah before him. So they say that this khalifa most likely means what we call like a sultan, or sometimes someone appointed with ghalba, how we will call today the king. So in the mawti khalifa, when the ruler will die, there will be ikhtilaf. And that ikhtilaf obviously will be because it will not be known who must now rule. There was a time once someone asked me that how will this happen, because at that time in the Saudi family everything was designated. That after this person, this will be the ruler. And after he goes, he will be next and he will be next. And they had written their whole lineage like. So at that time the person asked that, how will there be ikhtilaf in the Mawti Khalifa? Because it's already set, when one will die, the army automatically will follow the other. And then how fast things changed. This present ruler, he came from nowhere. And from nowhere he came and he pushed everyone off the road. All the others who were in line, all got pushed off. All of them got pushed off. And at the moment there's no one. And he, I don't think, will even think about appointing that if I die, because these people don't ever think they'll ever die. According to them, we'll live forever. If they ever feared death, they would never be doing what they're doing. So he pushed everyone out. There's no one now in line. So if that ikhtilaf has to take place, one of the best times is if this one dies. It doesn't have to be definite, but it really answered one question. All those who were in line, all of them got kicked out. All of them. In the Mawti Khalifa. فَيَخْرُجُ رَجُلٌ مِّنْ أَهْلِ الْمَدِينَةِ هَارِبًا إِلَى مَكَّةَ. A man from the people of Medina. From the people of Medina means he will be in Medina Munawwara. He will then run out. Other narrations discuss that people will be looking for him in Medina Munawwara, because of which he will now go over to Makkah Mukarramah. He will come there, فَيَأْتِي النَّاسُ إِلَيْهِ فَيُخْرِجُوهُ, until the people will come to him and they will pull him out. بَيْنَ الرُّكْنِ وَالْمَقَامِ, between Hajar Aswad and Maqam Ibrahim. We all know where Maqam Ibrahim is, it's pulled back. And Hajar Aswad, in that spot, that is where he will be now found. وَهُوَ كَارِهٌ, he will not be happy with it. We explained last week that the reason is no one will ever think how I'm going to manage. Then when Allah will give him inspiration and courage, he will take that. But at that moment, he will not be happy. But they will take him out. At that time, يُبْعَثُ إِلَيْهِ بَعْثٌ مِّنَ الشَّامِ, according to this narration which Imam Abu Dawud has mentioned. A group from the people of Sham will be sent فَيُخْسَفُ بِهِمْ بِالْبَيْدَى. And what we have read in many ahadiths, that there's a place between Makkah Mukarramah, Medina Munawwara. It is known as Bayda. It is more closer, most likely, to Medina Munawwara itself. So when that group is coming, at that time certain ulama questioned this, that if from Sham a group is coming, an army, then this is not their miqat normally. When you do the word of miqat in the books of fiqh, the miqat of the people of Sham is different. Miqat of Medina Munawwara is Dhul Hulayfa. So after Dhul Hulayfa there will be this Bayda. But the people of Sham, they normally won't come this side. So certain scholars said it's not this Bayda. It refers to like an open area. And others said that they feel it is this place. And they said normally when the people of Sham come, then they go in that direction, because that miqat has been set. But this will be a group that is choosing the shortest path. So there's nothing stopping them with coming with different conveyances. And in today's time we got all those conveyances. And cutting across deserts where in the past you wouldn't cross through because you had your own tariq that was set out. But now if you want to make the journey even shorter, so for them to make such a shortcut into Medina or close to Medina and from there to take it. And must remember, at one time there was only one airport, it was Jeddah. And then came the Medina Munawwara airport. So for an army to leave from Medina Munawwara, it's much more easier than from an army to leave from Sham. Because from Sham, normally you will send helicopters, they land in Medina. And from Medina, if you want to carry on, you might say, why they never land at Jeddah? So there might be some reason why. Maybe at that time that fear will be that these people are with him. Whatever the reason is, they're going to be at Bayda, and that's where yukhsafu bihim. They will be swallowed into the earth. So some scholars have said it is that place. But they will take a route which was not the common route at that time, either to cut short the journey, or as we said today, there's an airport there. In the past there was no airport. Whatever it is, at that place, a very huge amount will be swallowed in the earth. يُخْسَفُ بِهِمْ بِالْبَيْدَى فَإِذَا رَأَى النَّاسُ ذَلِكَ. When the people will see this, أَتَاهُ أَبْدَالُ الشَّامِ وَعَصَائِبُ أَهْلِ الْإِرَاقِ. It will be this time that the Abdal of the people of Sham, they will now set out, and a group from the people of Iraq. Ulama have written that from in the Sihah Sitta, the 6 kitabs that are normally famous, in the Sihah Sitta, this is the only narration which Imam Abu Dawud has mentioned where the word Abdal is mentioned. It is mentioned in other narrations, but in the Sihah Sitta, this is the only one, Abdal. Because of which Mullah Ali Qari, under this year, he gives a lot of detail. He quotes different scholars that what is this Abdal issue. So it's a very long discussion, but the one point that he ends it with is it's the interesting part, because of which very fast we will go through it. So from the different views about Abdal and different narrations which are attributed either to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam or to Sahaba, and obviously in each one of them there will be weakness. But from the different narrations, what is understood is that the scholars felt that Allah Tabarak Ta'ala has kept 500 people always on the surface of the earth. And then there are 40. So it's not so clear if the 40 are amongst the 500, most likely no. So you got 40. They are known as Abdal. And some have said actually not 40 but 70. 40 in and around the lands of Sham, and a remaining 30 everywhere else. So between 40 and 70, this is a number that you got. Some narrations have made it very clear, 40. 500 will never get less, and 40 will never get less. So what happens if someone passes away? So that's why they got the name called Abdal from Badal. Badal Abdal means change. If ever someone passes away from this 40, then one who was in the 500, he gets promoted. And one who's not in the 500 is allowed to enter in the 500. So there's always a badal taking place. Badal. These 500, some have said they are known as Nujaba or Nuqaba, Naqib, like the ones who keep their nazar, like how we will say a sheikh over a qawm, a one who got a lot of worry for his people, who Allah has made very famous in the world. His nazar on halat, so he's like a Naqib, Nuqaba, so that's like 500. And then you have Abdal, they could be between 40 or 70. Then you have 4 which are called Autad, Watidun. Watid is like pegs. So they have said that Allah has made them that in the different directions of the world, now they call it north, south, east and west. So moving in those directions, one peg. Get those pegs. And then you get one who is known as Qutub, or they call him Al-Ghawth Al-A'zam, the Qutub. Qutub means the center of Allah's special attention. So the 4 pegs, the Autad, they draw also inspiration. He is the center, he gets a lot of Allah's special attention. And then they draw from, and then the Abdal, and then the Nuqaba. And they have written, Almighty Allah has kept the system so that through the extra ibadat and the fikr and the worry and the du'as of this group, Almighty Allah's anger is always kept away from this world. And a general punishment which destroys everything never ever comes on this ummah. So all that he mentioned, but the point that was nice was that word Badalun Abdal. Badalun Abdal. That there's always a change taking place in this. Meaning whenever one dies, then one from the bigger Jamaat will have to replace. So as they're replacing, then that 500 will become 499. So Mullah Ali Qari on that point he writes that, O Allah, when a gap comes in that 500, then from the awam will you allow me to be made of the khawas. That if I can't enter in that big Jamaat of 40, then at least in the bigger Jamaat of 500. Because when one gap comes, it will mean an armed person will be made khas. So there's a very unique dua he made. That if Badal is taking place, I'm not asking to be min al-Abdal, but in that 500, because the 500 will go to the Abdal, but who's going to come in the 500? An army person, one who's from the Awam. So he never needed to be anything at the moment. So he says, when that one spot is made khali, empty, then what about me? So he taught the world have very high ummeed in the Zat of Almighty Allah. That we can also make a dua like that. That when that spot opens up, why not me? Why not me? And who knows, when Allah's nazar falls, I mean those 500, if you ask them, what made you? How you became there? So they will say one spot opened up. So the spot, if it opens, and you have put your name there. One person, when he wrote to his teacher, he was studying in Pakistan, and then he just disappeared. Then the teacher got the news that he's in Afghanistan. So he wrote to the teacher that I am also amongst the mustashhids. And I will be going out on a mission now. So salam to you. So the teacher had a chance to send a reply to him that, but I told you not to go. Because he had asked his Ustad before that, and Ustad told him, no, you just study, you're doing well. And that afternoon he was gone. So he sent the reply that that day when he had asked his Ustad, he wanted to go, but the Ustad stopped him. But that day when he went to make Taylullah, he saw Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in a dream. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had like a scroll. So he asked, what is this? So he said, these are the names of the mustashhids. Talib Shahada. So in the dream he asked, is my name there? Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam opened the scroll, look, said, your name is not there. So in the dream he said, can I put my name there? So he said, the scroll is open, if you want to write. So in the dream he wrote his name. In the dream he wrote his name. So when he woke up, he couldn't even go tell his Ustad. His Ustad would tell him, don't trust dreams.
Couldn't tell it. So there and there he left. He said, how could it be that I wrote my name and I still go it? So he went out. So there is that if a person wants to write his name, then Almighty Allah got a lot place on his scrolls. So the Abdal of Sham and the pious of the people of Iraq will then go to him. At that time, thumma yansha'u. Thumma normally means then, or it means after a slight gap. Yansha'u rajulun min Quraysh. Akhwaluhu kalbun. So there will be a man whose father's lineage will take him to the Quraysh. But from his mother's side is what is known from the Banu Kalb. So you call it a Kalbiya. So that only in that era we will really know who that person is. فَيَبْعَثُ إِلَيْهِ بَعْثًا, and he will send out his army now. So that will be the second army. فَيَظْهَرُونَ عَلَيْهِ, but the people around the Mahdi, they will now fight. So it means the first battle, Almighty Allah from his side will. And the second battle, the believers will have to fight. And they will get victory over it. But it will be a fight. It will be a fight. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, at that time, يُلْقِي الْإِسْلَامُ بِجِرَانِهِ فِي الْأَرْضِ. That is the time when Islam will now find stability again. Because before that, everything will be shaking. This yulqil Islam bi jiran normally is used for a camel. And that camel, you see, it sits. It's got a very amazing way of sitting. If you're sitting on a camel and it has to sit, you think you're going to fall off. Because it drops its back leg like this. So you think you're going, and then it just drops its front leg, so it goes front. So it doesn't let you fall, but you really feel you're going. And then it puts its, so that part is very, very scary. That's how the ummah will be at that time. But once the camel's, all its legs are down, then the camel then puts its neck front also. When it puts its neck front, it's now like, now the person says, jump off the camel. So that's called yulqi, when it puts its head, bijiranihi fil ard, when it puts out its neck onto the earth, meaning now, it's okay now. So at that time, Islam will find that stability. Then it comes, then Mahdi will remain amongst the people. فَيَعْمَلُ فِي النَّاسِ بِسُنَّةِ نَبِيِّهِمْ فَيَلْبَثُ 70 سِنِينَ ثُمَّ يُتَوَفَّى فَيُصَلِّي عَلَيْهِ النَّاسِ. Thereafter he will pass away and the people will perform the salah upon him, meaning janazah. So this is a narration that Imam Abu Dawud has mentioned. It is the only narration in the Sihah Sitta which got the mention of Abdal. Although there is weakness in the narration. But Mullah Ali Qari's words was a very unique word in this thing. That Badalun Abdal. If change is always taking place. And people are passing away every day. So he says, Allah, when one spot comes, then what about me? May Allah Tabarak Ta'ala make a spot for all of us. If we can go from that one into the next one, who knows, by Almighty Allah. Everything is open. It's just an intention from the heart. And then if you see yourself writing it in the dream, then you mustn't be after Zuhur Salah. You'll have to make your journey. That era will come and maybe we will see it. Maybe we will see it. If we don't see it, then at least with that tamanna and that ummeed, that desire in the heart. Previously I mentioned here that one person, he left a huge amount of money in the account. And he said to his sons that this will not be distributed as inheritance. This has been made as a waqf. Huge amount, and other money will come in. He says, then whoever will meet the Mahdi from my son, grandson, great-grandson, great-great-grandson, when they meet him, they will give my salams, and they will say, my father has given this gift for you. So at what time he put it? Huge, a very big amount he put. Whether America froze the account now or not, who knows. But at that time he put. So there were those people who had that desire. And they did something like to say that. So whatever we have, desire in the heart is something which Almighty Allah sees. To be desirous also to be of the army of the Mahdi. To make dua for it. To be able to recognize him and be of the people of the Haqq when he comes. As I told you, it's not going to be such that everyone is going to be for him. In this narration, 2 armies you saw. One army from Sham, And one army, the man will be a Qurayshi. So it will be people of the land. 2 armies. Those armies, it doesn't seem they'll only be non-Muslim. It's Muslim land. 2 huge armies will go against the Mahdi. 2 huge armies. There's no guarantee for anyone I'll be in the right army. So with a lot of dua and a lot of hope that when Allah makes spots, then can there be one spot for me to fill. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alamin.